Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. If you can hear us, please share a comment in the chat. Let us know where you're watching. We're so excited to be celebrating this particular special week in our Blue Star Careers community. We're running a little bit late because we experienced some tech issues, but just so that you all know, we are live. We are bringing you incredible programming and some great opportunities for you to connect with amazing people who celebrate you and support you. And especially this is for you, military spouse. Just know that this week we are celebrating Military Spouse Appreciation Week at Blue Star Careers. And remember, these Blue Star Career Live Conversations is a special place for all members to connect, learn about spotlights, talent, pathways, and build your own trajectory. Today, I'm so honored to welcome Melinda, Araiza, and Chryssy Johnson from Navy Federal Credit Union. As I mentioned to all of you, some of you, this is a great opportunity and also a great team that has led so many great initiatives. And we're so honored to have them join us today and share more about Navy Federal hiring process, what candidates should look before applying, best practices, standing out, all the great stuff that you all need to know before you invest into your time. But not only that, we're also here to build this virtual space to let you know that military spouse, you're not alone. We hear you, we know you, and we want to celebrate with you this whole week. Incredible opportunities, and that's why we're all here connecting with you so that we can empower you with great knowledge. So you team Navy Federal, are you all ready to begin?
I think so. Like you said, Laura, it's been a bumpy technical ride, but you know what? Military spouses know how to go with the bumps, right?
Exactly. We know how to go with bombs. So let's begin, team. Please, whatever you are watching from across West Coast, East Coast, let's hear it and see in the comments, what is your financial talent or financial future goal looks like? Drop it in the comments. We love to be able to connect with you, but also pay it forward. Pay it forward to another military spouse. So let's begin. Well, hello. Now that we had that beautiful intro boost of energy, thank you so much for watching. And thank you, Christina, all the way in Maryland, for sending you a shout out for confirming that you can hear us. And then we are actually live. Thank you so much, Christy. And of course, Melinda, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to meet you. You are pioneers and change makers in our space with military hiring initiatives. Not only that, but of course, great products. But we're not here to talk about that. But would you please introduce yourselves and tell us more about what you do? Anything that you feel is definitely worthy of knowing about yourselves, your background. Why do you do what you do? Let's start with you, Melinda.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us. Laura, I think we're on the same time zone. I'm in San Diego, so I'll say good morning to everyone on the West Coast, Hawaii and beyond, and good afternoon to anyone who it might be noon or later. My name is Melinda Araiza. I am a senior program manager on our military talent acquisition programs team with Navy Federal Credit Union. And I have been a proud employee of Navy Federal for 9 years and counting. And I actually began my journey at our Greater Pensacola operations. I am a proud Navy spouse, and the Navy brought us from Greater Pensacola to Norfolk and now to sunny San Diego, so beach town to beach town. And I've been fortunate enough, due to Navy Federal's support of spouses, to retain meaningful employment and even grow my career during those 9 years. So I'm super excited to talk about some of those programs, answer questions, and just continue a conversation about, military spouse employment. And with that, I will turn it over to Chryssy.
Thank you, Melinda. And thank you for having me as well. I too am a military spouse. So my husband retired after 22 years and we settled outside San Antonio. So Mill City, USA. We were in the hill country. I also have a son who continues our family's service tradition. So he followed his dad's footsteps and he's currently stationed completing his recruitment voluntold duty in Kansas City with his wife. I was also born in Panama and Con Canal Zone. So those of you who know about that place, so I was raised in a military family. At Navy Federal, I sit alongside my partner here, Melinda, as a military talent acquisition programs uh, manager for our team, and I help in our recruitment pathways for veterans and military spouses, the same that Melinda does. And our work is committed to strengthening Navy Federal's tracked, engage, and supporting of our military connected talent. And again, thank you so much, Laura, for having us. We are very excited to be here today.
And we are so excited to learn more about all the great stuff that you guys do, how you dive in into, very intentionally, of course, support our military spouse community or military connected talent. And you guys definitely are such a great honor, worthy representation of our military spouse community. So thank you so much for taking the time to celebrate with us today. And so with that, let's dive in into all the great stuff that we really like to know. A very personal discussion. For those that may not know anything about Blue Navy Federal Credit Union, which I doubt it, right? But what should job seekers wanting to go into a financial sort of a pathway should know about Navy Federal and the types of careers that you guys present and have available?
Yeah, I can start with what I feel they should know. I think they should know that we are a member driven organization. Our members are the mission. We're a credit union, we're in financial services, but we are not a bank. Meaning we really trust our members and we want to keep that trust. And so that means doing right by service members, their families, veterans, etc. And I think that shows in the way we treat our employees, because you have to treat your employees well so they can take good care of the members. So if someone's interested in finding a career here, I would say, keep an open mind. We do have opportunities at our larger headquarters in Pensacola, where I got my start, Vienna, Virginia, so that DC market, Winchester, Virginia, just a couple hours outside that DC market, and then as well as San Diego, where I'm at now. But we also have a wealth of branches, overseas opportunities. So I think sometimes I talk to spouses and they're like, well, I don't want to work in a bank or I don't want to be a teller. And I would say, first of all, our member service representatives are a lot more than tellers. They are financial experts who guide our members in making smart financial choices. And then I would say, wherever you start, the sky's kind of the limit for me. I've always wanted to stay in TA, but I didn't start in military talent. That kind of grew by expressing my own passions and interests and having leaders who helped me kind of build my own career. So I, that's what I would say. Chryssy, I feel like we have different vantage points being at different points in our careers with Navy Federal. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Melinda. And thank you, Laura, for the question.
Yeah.
Everybody hears that word, credit union, and they think to Melinda's point that, oh, I don't know any banking. I've never been in banking. And we were founded in support of our service members and their families in their financial journey. However, within our organization, we have military spouses, to Melinda's point, at all different leveling and all different positions within our organization. And a lot of individuals may be shocked to learn that we even have positions from a plumber to electrician to project management and all the way and everything in between, from different leveling entry points all the way up to executive leadership. So the career is truly your own, to Melinda's point, moving around and progressing within the organization. So I think, in part, to keep in mind about who Navy Federal is that we are to support our military spouses and our military community, and we do know that military spouses are a pillar within that military community. And so because of that, military spouses have very specific needs, and we understand that. And so at Navy Federal, every decision we make is to support our membership, and that's external facing when you say, oh, we're a credit union, but that's also to our internal population as well.
Absolutely. I love it that you bring out to the spotlight that you do hire behind the scenes also other great roles or careers that could be the startup of your Navy Federal Credit Union journey. Because, like you said, you hire behind the scenes operations and individuals that support, other areas that not necessarily maybe customer facing, or as Melinda mentioned, tellers. There's so many great opportunities. What matters, I think, in my personal opinion, nowadays in today, the way we shop for careers is really finding that home, the great culture, a military connected team like you guys that really welcome and understand the challenges, the lifestyle. And so with that, I would like to ask you, maybe, since given that we're talking about military spouse and military spouse celebration this whole month long, why is Navy Federal a strong place for military connected talent, but particularly for military spouses? I mean, you guys are a reflection of what that culture looks like and how welcoming it has become through your own journeys. But what would you add to military spouses who may be a little bit, in hesitation, or they're preparing for the PCS move this summer, and this is the perfect time to perhaps shop for that career?
I can start. I think one thing is there's a ready community. So about just less than half of our employees have some kind of military connectedness, whether that be, their parents served in the military, another close family member serves in the military, their military spouse, they're a veteran, they're a reservist, a member of the National Guard. I mean, we really have representation from all of the many different ways someone can be a part of the military journey and experience. So I think just having that in the ecosystem makes it a better place to work. I can recall, when my husband went on deployment and we were in Norfolk, I didn't have a lot of friends and, was new to the area, working in the back of a branch as a recruiter. And even though people didn't know me well, like they came in, they were like, hey, saw you looking a little teary-eyed. Was today the day? How are you hanging in? How are things going? I think just having that understanding is hard to find in an organization that isn't like Navy Federal. And then I would say that we have a lot of supports for our military connected community, especially military spouses, which I'll pause because Chryssy, works very closely on a lot of those initiatives for what she may have to add in terms of support for our military spouses.
Thank you, Melinda. And I too have run the gambit of application process and having that 4-page resume and trying to make it stick and trying to understand, and everybody should understand this as a military spouse. When you have a PCS and you just continuously build on that resume, it truly looks like you're running from the law, because it's just state to state to state. So I love to give the advice to connect with those military friendly, military ready organizations, those Blue Star families, those MSEPs, those hiring our heroes, those organizations that can help guide you and direct you and help provide you that resume, to know-hows and best practices. And I can say that you are looking for, especially during your PCS and moving, is trying to ground your resume and ground, what you want to do and where you want to do it. So those are the two big things that you need to overcome. To Melinda's point, within our organization, because we are military ready, we have an internal mobility team that actively supports our military spouses retention during relocations. We also have recruiters and hiring managers that are trained to understand the military and the military spouse, career gaps that they may have on their resume. So you're looking for those organizations, to Melinda's point, that have those internal understanding and key strategic partnerships with their community to be able to support their community at the top of the funnel as you're applying as an applicant. And then once, of course, your foot is in that door.
I love it. Thank you so much for mentioning that and for also highlighting what you do and the fact that you go above and beyond to really retain and accommodate spouses when possible through your internal applications and everything. But before we get to be an internal applicant, let's talk about the process. So walk us through the hiring process. I get this today. I'm excited. I know I'm going to San Diego and I'm going to one of those major hubs where I can find a great career opportunity. I go to the site, I applied. What would the application to the interview to the next steps, what should I expect? Who takes it over?
That's a great question. I'd love to jump in there and to continue on and then pass it over to Melinda, but that's a great point. Okay, I am going to know, I've got my orders now. They haven't been changed. They're official. I've got, the movers are scheduled. They're coming to get my stuff and to ship, hopefully my car along with it and everything else. And they don't lose it along the way. But I'm going to San Diego. The first thing I'm going to start doing is researching the organizations that are within that area, specifically Navy Fed. I want to work for Navy Federal when I get to San Diego. So you're going to start looking at our career site. You're going to start looking at those opportunities that are available, what align with your interests, and that you meet those skill requirements too. But also at the very beginning on our career site, we have Opline. Opline is, a platform that we utilize to help translate your job into and align with our open positions. So it kind of guides you on exactly where you should be looking and how you should be looking. And then I'm gonna harp back on it, Laura. You've got to rebuild that resume and tighten it in. Give it to a few of your friends. Give it to people who don't understand you. Because if you give it to somebody who's like you, if I gave my resume right now to Melinda, she would look at me and be like, "You are an all-star. You are amazing," because she knows what I. Well, thank you. Because she knows what I do for a living, so she can't really capture and reread through the lines of what might be missing or what sounds convoluted. So give it to somebody who doesn't understand you or your background and your experience, and then keep doing that and keep getting advice on how to build that resume and then tailor it to those positions you want to apply to. That would be my very first recommendation. Melinda, I know you have some great thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I think first I have to acknowledge that the market is unique right now. And that's not to say that companies aren't hiring. We're hiring, but it is unique. There are a lot of applications. And to be honest, I think people are looking for like that magic silver bullet. I don't know that there's a magic bullet, but I think the things that have always worked, even pre-AI, still work. And that's to Chryssy's point, having a targeted approach, tailoring your resume. The great news is you can use AI to help you tailor the resume, but then definitely have yourself or another human go back through and make sure it still reads human. I would also say, networking is going to be pivotal, and using other spouses is a great way to, network. If you are looking at companies and then you check maybe in a spouse Facebook page you're on, or you're on LinkedIn and you say, "Hey, I noticed you're a military spouse, you work at this company, I'm really interested in that. Would you have time to chat with me?" Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And that's okay too. I think just really trying to put yourself out there and put your best foot forward, doing a lot of the work on the front end, I think makes things a lot easier on the back end. Because I'd personally like to submit, 10 really well tailored applications than 100 kind of tailored applications, even though it takes a lot of work upfront.
Fabulous tips. And so, what my biggest takeaway from your great insider tips is, build community, and then this counts as a networking event. Yes, believe it or not, because we're watching your comments. So please share a comment. Tell us where you are in your career pathway. Connect with Melinda, connect with Dr. Chryssy, connect with us, and then continue to follow up. Don't just leave it in a one-time call or a one message and then, oh, they didn't respond after 2 weeks. No, keep following up. Be intentional. And the other takeaway that I got from you, Melinda, is do more intentional application process, meaning do quality versus quantity, right? Don't focus on all these massive applications that perhaps defeat your confidence, and then you're like, oh my god, I have applied over 200 applications and nothing is moving through. And then of course Navy Federal, we're talking about San Diego because we love it, right? We love San Diego, we love the East Coast as well, but those are not the only hubs. Navy Federal, as you know, is in multiple states, so don't just linear into one community. If you know that you're going to a location where there's a Navy Federal, then that's where you need to start very early on, applying, conversing, discussing options, and or when you are coming back to the other location as well. So don't just shadow yourself into one specific linear pathway. Make sure that you are very intentional. Now, team, let's jump into another question that is more intentional for someone who may feel that they may not fit qualifications, because I think sometimes we hear financial sector, we need financial careers or careers in finance, although you did already express that there are other jobs that are also within behind the scenes that don't necessarily are forward facing with the clients. But if someone feels like they don't qualify or they have no qualifications but they're interested in applying, what will be that step to explore that?
Well, first, I would just say make sure you don't qualify. There's some interesting psychology out there about different groups of people who are more likely to feel under or unqualified, and they will kind of like self reject rather than facing that rejection. So that's number one. And I think that's where Christy's point about having, a trusted friend, maybe a trusted mentor. Hey, I feel like maybe I'm a fit for this, but I don't know. I think a lot of times they'll give you sage advice. And if you're not a fit today, then what steps do you need to take to be a fit tomorrow? Is that furthering your education? I mean, military spouses are always more highly educated, more qualified in that regard than their civilian peers. But being really, again, the word intentional about those different certifications and educations to get you where you want to go. And then I would say if you're not a fit as well, think about, okay, what's plan B? I talk to a lot of people who are interested in getting into talent acquisition. They want to be recruiters, but maybe they don't have experience. For me, plan B was starting at kind of, a staffing agency where they hire people without experience, training up, and then getting with that, 5-star company, Navy Federal, that I wanted to be at the end of the day. You got to decide, like, what is the most important? Is it the job title and the pay? Is it the company and the values? And I think those answers change over time too, and that's okay.
Melinda, it sounded like you were trying to recruit me and just really romance me to apply for the next role. So, okay, I'll take that as a great tip. Thank you so much. What about you, Dr. Chryssy? What would you recommend for someone that feels like, oh, I don't qualify?
Thank you. Melinda said it perfectly. The only other thing that I would love to harp on is what she said. It's where do you want to be, right? Do you want to climb a ladder immediately, or do you want to get your foot in the door with an amazing organization and then climb the ladder once you're inside that door? And what's important to you? Is important to you, again, that leveling, that titling, the bottom line, your benefits, your dollars, what is important to you at that time. And I do have to say that it is extremely important, especially in today's environment, that you look for an organization that aligns with your core values. And if you can find organizations that align with your core values, then you can definitely picture yourself as being a culture fit for that organization. And if you're a culture fit for that organization and you're looking at this position, you said, oh, but I really want to be X, Y, Z, but I'm just not meeting all those qualifications yet. But there is a position that's a lower leveling, something else I could do. I have the experience and I have the background. Maybe I do want to get my foot in the door and apply for that role where I do meet those specific qualifications. And then I can work on my career growth and progression once I get in the door, because it is a great culture. It is a great organization, whatever, if it takes all those boxes. But that is my additional advice, especially in today's market and what you're looking for. Sometimes, I'm a huge fan of aiming for the stars and hoping you get them, but also, to Melinda's point, having that plan B.
Absolutely. Hey, our kind of people. I think we're in this room very intentionally because I'm always preaching what is the plan B, just in case, right? Fallback in case things don't happen. And then I'm sure if you both of you can reflect back into your early career when you got to Navy Federal to now, our needs, our career, exciting, sort of outlook and everything else changes too as you grow into those positions. And so you perhaps will not necessarily always want to be into customer service, perhaps into talent acquisition. Things change. And so, but what doesn't change is belonging to a great organization that has the culture, that has the steps to help you grow, that has the commodity and the culture that is really going to allow you to grow personally and still be able to live your military connected lifestyle. So I think that is extremely important. Now, Melinda, we have a ton of, and Dr. Chryssy, we have a ton of great people in our community that train, they do certifications, they do all kinds of free stuff, right? With the intent that that's going to be progressing to a long-term career opportunity. So how do you guys internally within Navy Federal offer internal mobility once somebody joins Navy Federal Credit Union?
Yeah, I can start. I'll say, first of all, we do have a dedicated internal mobility team that our team, Military Talent Acquisition, works very closely with. And they even have a subsect of that for military spouse career continuity. So they are always looking at new ways to help our employee population, whether it's through like rotational programs, particularly for those working maybe outside of our larger hubs, so those in the branch network or remotely, as well as other opportunities to leverage that internal talent. And then I would say just more organically, I feel like even though we're a large organization, we have like a very open mind about what people can do. And what I mean by that is, I've had leaders come from all different areas of the credit union through different rotational programs, or just, they had that people leadership and then they came into TA. And I feel like having that environment, that culture of, we can train you on specific skills. It's more about having the right fit for the needs of the team is really awesome. Again, I wasn't a military talent acquisition professional before I started hiring for SkillBridge, but I was a talented recruiter. I was military connected and I had a passion for it. And that's how I built my program manager skills. So again, it's kind of like organic and also really great built out programs to help people get where they want to go internally. What am I missing, Chryssy?
I don't think you're missing much. I think you touched on all of it. It's those opportunities that our organization gives our military spouse population. It is truly that, we lead with purpose, and that we haven't lost sight of that human element. So it's from the resume to the application to every connection and internal as well. Having that internal mobility team to help during relocations. We host dedicated panels, professional development sessions, networking events. Our employee resource group, which you may often hear is called an ERG, supports, our alumni, our fellows, our military spouses, and our allies internally to help connect. And I think to Melinda's point, and we keep harping on it, and Laura, you said it as well, it's that networking piece. It's that continuing that connection. Because we do understand that we all know it here on this call and those listening in that military spouses still have the highest demographic of unemployed and underemployment in the nation. And we are, Melinda already mentioned this, highly educated. Because when we have those career gaps, we continuously get certifications or additional education and just further ourselves and better ourselves. And I think, applying that knowledge and those connection skills that you have and taking every opportunity that you have when you connect with others as a informational interview. You're not interviewing for a job. Perhaps you have a great one, but you're speaking to Melinda because maybe she has another opportunity she knows of, or maybe she's going to open a door for you that you don't know of, or introduce you to somebody that could open those doors for you. So I think to answer your question, I think the opportunities are within organizations such as Navy Federal that are not just military friendly, but military ready as well.
I love it. Thank you. And I'm sorry, Melinda. It sounds like Dr. Chryssy was trying to also recruit me. So we'll determine because she spoke about how beautifully you do all these great insider conversations to really help you as an employee grow and then just stay there and to continue to fall in love with the organization, with the culture, with your team, because that's essential. When you show up to whether you are doing it virtually, in person, or you drive to the location, you're given a good chunk of your day to an organization, to a mission, to your customers, to the livelihood of that success. And so it is very important that you feel that you really belong there. And it sounds like this is a great opportunity for any of us who is watching to support and really connect. Let's take some moments right now to really take some shout outs and go over our community and send some shout outs really cool to all of our members who are currently watching. Let me head over there to our LinkedIn community because LinkedIn has been busy. So it sounds like we brought the entire house. So thank you to JR. Thank you to Teresita, Cheryl for watching. Thank you to Rachel. This was a Sherry. Thank you to Brittany. Thank you to Connie, another Sherry again. Thank you so much for supporting as well. Thank you to Barbara, who's in our digital platform in the neighborhood watching, as well as thank you to Sierra. We also have another member out there watching. We have a few members in there watching, but everybody has like this incognito or special name that they put on their profile. Thank you, Joyce, as well, for sending us shout outs as well. And then let's go to our Spouse Force Facebook group because that's the one that is always very much targeted for our military spouse community. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, Kelly, Amy, as well, for being and participating in here as well. Thank you for sharing all those great thoughts. Thank you, Esmely, for supporting as well and tuning in. And please keep posting your comments. Even if after this is over, we'll come back and make sure that you are taken care of so that you understand where you need to go. And most importantly, build a community. You don't have to do it alone. You have Melinda here, you have Dr. Chryssy, and then we have, of course, our Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood with Navy Federal. It has the webinar is also spotlighted in there. So, and then we're going to do a quick shout out for them as well later on today. So make sure that you are sharing your comments and coming back to support. Now, team, be mindful of our time, especially since we started a little bit off of the time. And then I want to make sure that you go on and review all the amazing applications of all the great individuals who are going to be going over to explore opportunities. And hopefully they take the time. But if they do rush to apply, just one quick, sort of a coaching moment here for our military spouse community. Because after all these gaps, that we take a hit in applying and reapplying and moving and relocating, all that, it kind of tends to draw some effects on our confidence and how we feel we don't qualified or we disqualified ourselves before applying. But with that in mindset, how can military spouses show more confidence when explaining a non-traditional career path that perhaps they have already or they're currently experiencing themselves? I'm sure you see some of those perhaps resumes in the past. Someone who was into healthcare and then hop over to maybe education, and then eventually they ended up customer service, and then the PX and base. So how can non-traditional careers show more confidence when applying for Navy Federal?
I would love to jump in and just say I'm a huge proponent of functional resumes. And that's just my own personal perspective and how I tailored my resume. And the reason I did that is because you have gaps, you have drops, it's all over the place, and then trying to narrow it down. And so especially if you're making a pivot, you need to highlight those skill sets to the new pivot that you're moving to. And the best way I've seen to do that is to do a functional resume where you bring those skill sets to the top, and then you kind of outline, underneath that, chronological. I would steer clear of a chronological, especially if you're pivoting, unless you can really tailor that resume into that new pivot that you're moving to, just because it kind of categorizes you into, well, this time I did this way, and this time I was at Fort Hood, and this time I did it over here when I was, and so it's just, you're moving all over the place, and it just kind of, it loses the value of what you're trying to sell in a quick snapshot to that recruiter. Again, I'm going to harp on, a cover letter, really tailoring and tiling that in, but also where that mirrors your elevator speech, having that tight, and then making those connections on LinkedIn, and those connections with when you go to the events and you shake hands and you meet new people, tightening in that elevator speech, and then showcasing your other values and skill sets and experience ahead of that pivot that you're making. Melinda?
Yeah, Chryssy, you made a note of functional resumes. I couldn't agree more. And that's, again, we're tailoring the resume, but also keeping a master resume is really helpful. And it can be very sloppy. It can be very messy. But a lot of times military spouses, they'll be, the command ombudsman, and they're managing a budget. They're planning events. They are handling top secret information and communicating it out to a group, That's important. Keep it on the master resume, and all the other, formal or informal forms of employment. And then you can kind of pick it out of that master resume and put it into that functional resume for the role that you're applying to. And then I saw this quote recently when I was at the Wounded Warrior Battalion in Camp Pendleton that has been just stuck in my head, and it's become like my new kind of mantra. And it's, success is never final and failure is never fatal. And I think that's like a good thing to keep in mind, is you're not just where you're at, you're all the places you've been, and you're also the places you're going to go, So while at some points it can be very frustrating, and I know that's easier said than done, just remembering, those times when you did have maybe a meaningful career, or you had that big win, or people said, hey, you did an amazing job with that volunteer event. I feel like you could turn this into a real career. And remembering that and kind of trying to hold that in the times where maybe things are less promising.
Absolutely. This is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all that great insight. And thank you everyone who is in the community sharing comments and of course engaging. And don't keep it to yourself. Pay it forward. Tag a military spouse. We're all going to start seeing a lot more right now on social, on different networks, through your ombudsman communities, whatever that looks like to you. You're going to start seeing more questions. I'm moving to X, Y, and Z location. I'm looking for a job. Does anybody know of a great employer? Yes, I do. I was there watching Melinda and Dr. Chryssy, and then you can talk about Navy Federal and then show off with these discussions so that you can understand better how to position yourself more when the application process. And if it is not the right time right now to apply, hey, there's always the fall, then there's always October, then there's always January, and our careers, continue to grow. And we are here for you. We're here for you. Connect with Melinda, connect with Dr. Chryssy on LinkedIn, follow them. And then, of course, start connecting and following Navy Federal so that you can find out what are some of those latest and newest initiatives and programming they have available, not just for services, but, of course, for the hiring initiatives. And then make sure that you are staying active and engaged in our neighborhood community, because we are definitely there spotlighting and talking about great opportunities like these. Before we go, team, I may put you on the spotlight and then shared, if there's any call to action or one way that you would just, close us or remind our military spouse community about one thing that they need to do to really bring fulfilling careers into their future and short future growth, what would that be? What would be our call to action from this engagement right now today?
Ooh, I would challenge everyone. It's Military Appreciation Month. Everyone's celebrating the military. Have one uncomfortable conversation. Tap someone on the shoulder. Hey, I noticed you around base, and you always have these great suits on. Like, what do you do for work? Or, call that old friend who now is working at the company you want to be at. Hey, I know it's been a long time. I've been watching your career on LinkedIn. I really admire the way you've been able to grow your career while being a spouse. Would you mind sitting down with me? And that doesn't just have to be spouses or military. It's something that I personally practice I have like a couple of like if I'm caught in an elevator questions that are always ready just in case I find myself in an elevator with Taylor Swift someday and I can finally find out, the true meaning behind all those songs. But seriously, like put yourself out there because you never know what can come from it. And I would just say like keep going.
Absolutely. And what's the worst that's going to happen, Melinda? You get ghosted. So move on to
Yeah.
somebody else, you're going to miss an opportunity if you don't take that first step. And again, the worst that anybody can tell you is no, or they just don't reply. And then you just move on to somebody else. I'm a huge proponent, Laura, of asking individuals after you do a mentorship call or after you connect with somebody and you're really hitting it off to put yourself out there, be vulnerable, and then to say, hey, you know a little bit about me, we've connected. Who would you recommend I connect with next? And continue that ball moving. And then, especially in our military community, right? Because we embrace each other, we support each other, and that's what we're here to do. So I'm here to help you and to assist you with. Connections if I can, if I have them. Please LinkedIn with me, Melinda. I'm going to throw you under the bus too. LinkedIn with Melinda. We'd be more than happy to help guide you and provide you any guidance that we can along your journey. But Laura, this has been fantastic, and we're so happy that you put this together for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know everyone is so busy today. And we thank everyone who's been on the comments, also supporting and sharing and spotlighting also your local communities. If you did not get highlighted, no worries. We will definitely come back and make sure that you are taken care of in your comment. And then as, everyone here already, I agree, just, get yourself out there, ask questions, be very intentional, build community. We're here for you. We're celebrating you all month long here through Blue Star Careers. You're not alone. Take chances. And then when in doubt, just ask and connect. And I love that. I'm going to steal them, Dr. Chryssy. If you know someone who needs to know more about what I do or what I'm looking for, would you recommend it? But then I'm also going to throw it on you, community who's listening, and the entire audience. If you know someone who needs to know, needs to hear what amazing opportunities are there available, especially through Navy Federal, please pay it forward, tag, share it in your ombudsmans, reshare this webinar. It is available on Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course in our digital platform, but you can reshare it with your private groups and communities so that more people can benefit, explore, and then all together we all grow and build better communities for everyone that is military connected. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting. We'll be in touch with everyone. And then remember, connect with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.